Hey everyone, it's Kai from Kool Collectibles back again for another review. This time it's the Transformers Masterpiece MP-11NR Ramjet. For all your Transformer needs, click the link in the description below to head on over to Robot Kingdom. They ship worldwide, so definitely check them out. Alright, so yesterday I did MP-29 Shockwave, and today is Ramjet's turn. And I gotta say, getting two big Decepticons this close together is definitely how I would rather Takara release their figures. I don't mind them pumping out these G1 characters a little bit faster, just so I can get that out of the way, because particularly for this figure, I actually prefer this Ramjet over Shockwave. I think it's an absolutely fantastic figure. The box is the standard sort of Takara style box that you see here. So you get the sort of full cover art there, and all the details on the back with the various photos of the figure. So standard fare there. You get the instruction book. Now for this time they went with the book style, which I absolutely prefer for these larger figures. I'm not sure why with Shockwave they just went with the pamphlet style like they do for the smaller Autobot cars. I would have preferred a booklet. And I do love that artwork on the front. And so I guess with the fact that they've done that artwork on the front there, they've gone with the original style for the collector card, which is something I much prefer anyway. I would have preferred if they had gone that route for Shockwave, but it wasn't to be. So I like that, and I like the instruction book. The only other accessories are the little mandatory sort of pilot hologram. That doesn't sort of represent anyone from the cartoon that I remember. And of course it also comes with the cluster bombs for the alt mode. So there is a bit of parts forming, but we'll get onto that in a second. I guess for this particular mold, if I can actually find the slot to put that back in. For this particular mold, the fact that it could transition from these null rays in bot mode into these cluster bombs, I think was a pretty good compromise in terms of parts forming, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Regarding the figure itself, I absolutely love the way it looks. I've read and heard some complaints from various collectors saying he's too fat, he's too chunky, the head looks funny, etc. But that's exactly how he was in the cartoon. For this particular line, I think Takara sort of tends towards cartoon accuracy first, and sort of you know, homages to the G1 toy as a second priority. And in this particular example, with the fat knees, the head sculpt, etc., I think there's a couple of cheats that they've done, particularly for the head there and so on. But there are a few other sort of neat masterpiece moments, if you will, in the transformation sequence that make this figure really stand out for me among the Seeker mold. I'll give you a closer look now. People have complained about the head sculpt. Honestly, I don't know why. He always had a very dark face in the cartoon, and the way they've sort of done it in this gunmetal color, I think is really, really nice. I actually thought he was a lot lighter in some of the photos I'd seen, but in hand, the shade of gunmetal I think is pretty damn awesome. And the sculpt itself, people were saying his face looks too big and so on. I'm not quite sure why. Compared to the photos I've seen of, I think the Eye Gears version, that was the previous, I guess, definitive Ramjet. That head looks friggin' tiny in comparison, and this one just looks proportional to the rest of his body. And you compare it to the way he looked in the cartoon, it's an almost perfect, I guess, representation of it in this masterpiece line. So I can't complain about that at all. And the articulation, it's pretty good too. He has a pretty good range of motion. You can tilt his head, etc. And look down quite a far way. Just be careful of scraping the paint on the chin there. But other than that, I really do like the way they've done that head. The rest of the body, of course, it's a very heavy retool of the MP-11 mold with some unique changes. So the transformation sequence has its similarities, but also has quite a few neat differences as well, which I'll get to shortly. The knees, people have complained about the knees and why they're so chunky and how they stick out when he bends his knee, etc. But again, that's straight out of the cartoon, and the way they've sort of designed the look of that is pretty damn spot on. The wings here, you can sort of fold them straight out, but according to the instruction manual and just for ease of moving his legs around and so on, they do have them bent, and I do think it probably looks a little bit better angled out like that anyway. So from the side and the back, as you can see, there is quite a bit of kibble. Now I don't have the cluster bombs on the sides here. You can use these little pegs here and peg them into the holes right there to store them, I guess. To store them in bot mode, but I think that just pretty much adds to the kibble, and you know, he never really had that in the cartoon. I guess the cheat in the cartoon was it changed these null rays into the cluster bombs in the transformation. So I'll go with that particular look, and it does look a lot cleaner like that in bot mode as well. Articulation wise, it's pretty much the same for the arms. So the arms here are pretty much on the same sort of joint as the other molds. So you just rotate out. This one doesn't seem to have the same sort of problem as the regular MP-11 mold, where sometimes when you rotate up like this whole section tends to flip up. These seem much tighter, so you can sort of articulate that on that ratchet joint much easier. And again, you can fold it all the way out, which is nice. The hands here, I guess it's the same sort of hands where you can articulate the thumb and the index finger, and the rest of them are just attached together. I don't mind that too much. With the legs, they are on a ratchet that you can sort of ratchet out like so, and the knee bends fairly well. As always, the knee joint is pretty tight, so just be careful there. It does restrict articulation towards the rear because of this kibble here, but I guess I don't see too many poses with the Seekers with the legs sort of pointing backwards, etc. I guess the only other part that I don't like about the bot mode is this back section here. On the regular mold, this part here has a little peg that you see right there that actually pegs in to I think the front of the jet there. For here, you can't actually fold that away or anything like that. It sort of just dangles there, and this just sort of sits there as well. So, and it does sort of leave him with that cone sticking out through between his legs. So that's a bit unfortunate, but other than that, I don't think it's too bad at all. And overall, the general aesthetic of it looks really, really good. I'll grab one of the regular MP-11 molds just for a quick comparison. Hold on. Alright, so here he is next to MP-11T Thundercracker, and as you can see, they sort of fit perfectly on display together. So there are the common elements, you know, regarding the chest and so on. This whole sort of cockpit area is a bit of a cheat, I guess, where it's swapped around, and the rest of it is on the back of his head there. But on display like that, you can't really tell that much of a difference. And together, when you compare it against the cartoon, they just look fantastic. Paint app wise, there's not too much paint application. There's a bit of the black gloss and some white paint, etc. But other than that, most of it is just a nicely coloured plastic. The only other thing I can mention is that you know, the MP-11 mold chest area is, I guess, infamous for you know, being pulled up and that whole section sort of coming loose and flipping up, but on this one it is pretty much fixed in place, so it does lock in fairly well when you push that down, and it was fixed on some of these other molds. I think the only one that flips around like this is the original MP-11, so all the other ones have been sort of fixed. Height wise, you can see they're pretty much perfectly scaled together, so I can't really complain about that at all. And overall QC so far that I've seen, I don't have any major QC issues. There is a bit of plastic mold flashing and so on, but that's pretty much par for the course for this MP-11 mold. But that's pretty much it for bot mode. I'll get into the transformation sequence now. Hold on. Alright, to start the transformation, I always have these shoulder things flipped forward, so I'm just remember to flip them back like so, and then you just open up the cockpit area here and just fold that whole section down, and there is a little bit of a double joint thing there, so I'm just make sure it folds down like so, and then just turn his head around like that and get that into place, and then fold up the canopy like so. Then on the side here, you just rotate that around, and then this section just to move that out the way, and then you can pretty much grab the whole frame here and pull that straight up like so, and make sure that goes all the way up, and then you just start putting that through the front here. Now I guess there are a couple of white pegs here on the side that you just need to navigate through on the side here, so there are these little pegs that you just have to be careful of. Once you get into that sort of position, just rotate this cockpit section around like so, and just get it to face the right way, and then complete the pushing through of that section, and fold that up and clip that in place, and just align all of that. And that's pretty much the front of the plane there. Then these chest sections are pretty similar to the original MP-11 mold. Just fold those up, just make sure they sort of align in there like so, and fold up like that. You can sort of rotate that a little bit like so, to get them up like so, and then you just rotate the arms straight down like so. Just make sure you hold those in place. Then you just take these middle sections here and just rotate them up, and join them together in the middle. So that's very similar to the original MP-11 mold. So just to put them in that position there, just rotate them around. There is a little peg there that you use to squeeze them together, and they should end up looking pretty much like so. Then you just take the arms and rotate them around to the back here like so, and then just fold up the fists. So just do that on both sides like so, and fold up the fists, and then you can just fold these whole arm sections in. There is a little tab here on the back that just needs to sit on the outside, but these little black panels here on the inside of the arms there is a little tab that goes into the inside there, so you just need to make sure you just tab that in. It can be a little bit tricky. You just need to get also past the waist plate here, but once you do that, it sort of fits in fairly snugly. So I'm just get the waist plate out of the way, make sure the arms are straight, and then you can sort of squeeze it in like that and get it all sort of aligned. Alright, this next part is probably the scariest part of the transformation. It's folding these two red panels down. They're only on a little sort of joint right there, and you need to have this peg here go into that slot, and this little peg down here go into this little hole right there. So folding this down, this whole section sort of feels very flimsy. It's probably easy to get that out of the way. So you just need to hold this black section as tight as you can, and then just fold this down like so. After the first attempt, it is a little bit easier, and then when you check it in from this side, you pretty much just align it with that slot, and align it with that slot here, and just peg that in like so. Alright, so just do that again on this side. Just hold this black section and fold this panel down like so. You'll hear a little bit of a click. When I first heard that click, I thought I'd snap something, but luckily that wasn't the case. Then you just slot that in and slot it in at the back there. So I'm just put that in and hold it together like so, and that'll peg in quite nicely. Then you just take this back section here and essentially just fold that in, just get it past that joint there, and then it all sort of aligns in that midsection like so. Going around to the legs, you pretty much start here. When you turn those around and flip those in, and these knees will come forward a little bit, like so, which will reveal the wheels for the landing gear later on. Then you pretty much come around this side, pull these sections down until they click, like so, and that'll lock that in place, and then just fold these on these joints. So here, these are on a little joint along here that also feels quite flimsy, so just be careful how you bend that. It's along that sort of black joint. Again, the second time you do it, it is a little bit easier, but just be careful. So it'll end up looking like so, and then you can just flip these legs up here, and flip those down, and then close that back up like so. Now I do like this part of the transformation here. You can flip these out and then rotate them around. Now I probably should have done that before I bent them back, because you do need a little bit of access there. So this will give you a bit of access to just try and get your finger in there and lift this section up, rotate that around like so, and then fold that back down, and that reveals the jet engine. So that's a bit of a nice transformation sequence there that I like. Do the same on this side, just to bend that back again, just to reveal that. Now the first time I did it, it was an absolute pain getting this panel out, and it looks like it's going to be a pain again, so I'm just going to have to do that off camera. You saw how I did that before, so you just repeat it on this particular panel. Alright, so I managed to rotate that around now, and almost took off a bit of skin there, as you can see on my thumb. So just be careful there, that is a pain in the ass to do. But once you do that, you just fold that back in place and lock that in like so. And then essentially you can then just push these legs in and lock them in place up there. So just to make sure everything's aligned like so, and then you can just sort of gently push that in and push that in on this side. There is a peg back here as well, so you just peg the legs together. Now at first you'll think why isn't everything aligning, or if there's something wrong. So you'll see a bit of a gap here and so on, but once you do the cluster bombs, that'll lock everything in place, and I'll show you that in a second. Hold on. Alright, to do the cluster bombs, you pretty much just release these arms here, rotate this section 180 degrees, and just push them down like so. Do the same on this side, rotate it around, and you pretty much grab the appropriate cluster bomb. So the hole here needs to face into the body, and so this one is on the right here, and this one here is on the left. And essentially all you do, it sort of aligns so that you take it apart like so, and then slot that in there and slot that in there, and it rejoins up. I hope. Hang on, just let me get that in there like so. And so you take this side, if I can just show you that along there, just take that apart. There is a bit of two grooves that you might be able to see there that align it like so. So just try and keep that alignment as you're putting them through. That stops pretty much there, and you push that through and push it in like that. So that pretty much gets the cluster bombs ready, and there is a peg at the bottom here that fits into that hole right there. So you pretty much just peg the wing in as you need it to, and then so just peg in the wing there, and then just slot in the cluster bomb into the hole, and it'll hold that wing in place. So pretty much do the same on this side, and then just slot it in there like so. And then you can just futz around and make sure it's all pegged in, So on the side here, just peg that in, slot that in a bit closer, like so, and that is pretty much the transformation. Let me just double check all the alignment. I think that is pretty much it. There's a bit of a rising area here, but other than that, I think that's pretty much Ramjet in jet mode, and it does look pretty damn awesome. I do love the way they've done that and been able to capture that sort of G1 aesthetic style. It's I guess, you know, with the nose cone here and the cheat with the head sculpt and so on, it's probably I'm okay with that cheat, because you know, the sort of standard nose cone is pretty damn massive, and just putting his head there would look pretty ridiculous. So the way that they've incorporated a fake sort of cone in here and been able to do that, I think is a pretty good compromise. Now I guess with everything else, the wheels here, you do just flip these bits out, and you just push down the bottom here, and that'll open up these sections. So you get the landing gear at the back, and then similarly you just open this panel and somehow get your fingernail in there. I might just grab something and do that, hold on. Alright, managed to flip it down now, and then it just pretty much rolls on those wheels, or you can display it like so, and it does look pretty damn good. Now the only other MP-11 that I have in alt mode is Sunstorm here. I do have all my repaints in their alt modes, so just to give you a comparison in size and so on, it's pretty much in scale with each other. It probably is a little bit longer on the regular, I can't remember if that's an F14 or F15 or whatever it is, but together they pretty much look fantastic together. I'm not going to bother transforming all the Starscream, Sky Warfare, Thundercracker back into their alt modes, so that's a pretty good comparison there. And on the underside here, you'll see very similar, as you would expect with this particular mold, but the uniqueness on some areas, this keeps sort of, there we go. The uniqueness of this particular mold and some of the differences in the way they do the transformation, I think is pretty damn good. You know, some collectors have complained about the ability to tab in everything. You just need to be a bit patient and just futz around with the way you do the cluster bombs. Once you get the cluster bombs right and just twist and turn it a little bit, you'll be able to tab in these wings quite well. So I don't really have a major issue with that. And overall, the G1 aesthetic and everything else is pretty much spot on for me, so I can't complain too much at all with the way they've designed Ramjet. I'm still not sure why they've called it MP-11NR. I'm not sure what the NR stands for. I would have thought it would be just 11R, but I guess not. This little guy, you just slot him in there, and away you go. So that is pretty much it. Hopefully you like that look at MP-11NR Ramjet, and can click that subscribe button. I've got a few things coming up. I've got the Hot Toys First Order TIE Pilot shipping soon, and a couple of other things on the way as well. So from Big Bad Toy Store as well for the SH Figure Arts Bruce Lee, and the Asmus Toys Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. So hopefully you can stick around for all of that. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers. Bye.